What's good, my brother?
There he is. So I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you. And Juan is sitting there with JP. Say hello, JP. I see
What's
you.
up, guys? Woohoo!
Along with being an award-winning tattoo artist, JP is also a phenomenal barback, and he's going to be performing those duties tonight with Juan. So Juan and I actually got the same start in this industry together, shockingly with this body type and his. We were security guards, and we transformed working security and working at the door into working with spirits, and we both went different directions. Juan has done a lot of cool work with consulting. He's an Employees Only alumni. So Juan, say hello to the crew.
What's up, everybody? Hi, how's everybody doing? But I want you guys to meet one of my best friends in the world, JP. He's
Back again.
yeah, so that's my brother. So we're here at his studio, shooting from here. So yeah, very cool, man. Thank you for having us, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Looking good with your herbs and rye shirt.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
Always representing.
Herbs and crew in Vegas, man. That's my people, man.
Always representing. And we have the handsome and the prequel to Entourage, Mr. John Saporano, wearing one of my favorite pro wrestling shirts. I did not think that I would get trumped in the pro wrestling t-shirt game. John came in strong today.
Fantastic shirt.
This is that original Royal Rumble lineup. Royal Rumble 1 right there.
Is that 1 or is that 92? That's Royal Rumble 1?
I believe it is, yeah.
Because that's the one that Hacksaw won, but that is a fantastic shirt, and I represent it.
Beautiful. I wore this just for you.
I love it, man. So John, so it's funny, man. I had John on deck to do one of these shows, and I was like, I couldn't wait to reach out to him because he has an awesome series going on calling In Bed with John Saponaro. You could tip him for the late show of In Bed if you want to. That goes on. Just kidding. John is just going over some really cool stuff, and he's an absolute pista, and he's got some cool stuff lined up for us. But John, say hello to the Edgerton world of the digital speakeasy and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes, it's really nice to be here in front of my closet. It's fantastic. I'm so jealous of the setup that other people have. Like, we've got people with bar backs, and I'm just sitting next to my bed. I'm not even on my bed. I'm next to it. And it's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is a lot of fun.
Because surviving, I cannot tattoo, so at least I can do something, right? So bareback, man.
That's true. I think the lesson is that I just need better friends. I think when you come over and do cooler stuff than, just like shutting in my bedroom and being like, I hope I don't bother my roommate.
Well, it doesn't matter because the LA hat, the Royal Rumble shirt, and the beard makes up for all of that. So John, alongside of being an interior decorator, as you could tell is a stand-up comedian, and he is absolutely fantastic at it. I actually saw him, what is that, a year and a half, 2 years ago now, when you came up, and it took you 5 hours to get in from Brooklyn to Westchester?
Yeah, about that. Listen, you try to drive to Westchester at the wrong time of day, man. It just takes you forever. I did a gig up in Rhode Island one time, and it took me 8.5 hours to get to Rhode Island from Brooklyn. It was insane. So taking that route north is not great.
Jeez Louise. Well, when you hit it big and one of these guys give you a Netflix special deal after seeing your performance on the digital speakeasy, we'll get a helicopter and we'll travel all over the world with a helicopter together.
That's perfect. I'm hoping that this is my big break. I'm hoping that after this, Conan O'Brien calls. So
it's between Melissa's TikTok and the digital speakeasy and Juan and JP being inside of the tattoo studio, something big's going to happen here. But we're going to do things a little differently. So obviously with what John does, it's different from the comedians that the musical guests that we've had in the past. So I'm going to ask that you guys actually unmute right now. If you do have a loud child or a barking dog or other odd things going on in the background, I will mute you. But let's give John a little bit of love with our response and laughter. So, John, the stage is yours, kind sir. Go get him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's the best virtual intro I think I've ever gotten. It's really nice to. This is strange, guys, because this is like, I don't want to dwell on the strangeness of what our lives have become, but it's just weird. Like, comedy has taken me all over the world. I've been on Sirius XM, I've been on television, and now I have my computer propped up on a bunch of books that I've never read. Do you understand what I mean? Like, that's what my life is turned into. And like right now, all we have is time, and I'm still not going to read those books. That's the kind of person I am. I just want them to sit on my bookshelf and let people think that I'm smarter than I am. That's the kind of vibe. But like, I'm also like, I'm a driven guy, like, but I'm also like I'm a little lazy. And it's weird because now this quarantine is forcing me to be like a different kind of person. Like 2 weeks ago, I drove to the dry cleaner and just sat in the parking lot and then drove back to my apartment. Like, the dry cleaner's not open, but I do have stuff there. Like, I'm running pretend errands. You know what I mean? Like, and it's insane. I don't know how to handle, like, this situation. I don't know exactly what to do. But I will say that there is one absolute silver lining to this entire quarantine, to the entire coronavirus, because it's bad, but there is one good thing. There is one good thing, is that it successfully managed to cancel the Olympics, which I am thrilled about, okay? I don't know if you guys are watching and you like the Olympics. That's fine if you do. You're wrong, okay? But it's okay. You can like them. It's not, because the thing is, they're not real sports because you don't know what curling is. Like, you don't pretend like you care about it every 2 years. Like, I don't care. I don't care. I just want that to be okay. That's what I want. I want it to be okay. Because I have friends, like Tommy said, we grew up together. I have friends back home that watch the Olympics, and every time they rolled around, they were like, John, I can't believe you're not watching the Olympics. That's so un-American. That's so unpatriotic. And I'm like, listen, not giving a about something that is just has international implications is literally the most American thing I can do. that makes me a patriot. Okay, that's how I feel about it. It's the truth. I can't describe it any other way, because look, you can avoid the Olympic Games if you don't want to watch them. What you can't avoid is the commercials for the Olympics. They are on every single channel, and they always take like 6 or 7 athletes, and they want to spotlight their journey and tell you about how courageous they are, but they do it in this epic way that makes me feel like a piece of garbage, because they get like Oprah or Morgan Freeman to narrate the commercial, and then they come out on TV and they're like, when Felix was 11 years old, his father died in a mining accident in West Africa. 2 weeks later, he watched as militant soldiers kidnapped his mother from their village, never to be seen again. Felix escaped by doing the only thing he knew how: running. And for 3 weeks he ran, from Sierra Leone to the golden shores of Morocco and freedom. Oh, he still runs today. Only now he doesn't run for his life. He runs to be called champion. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on my couch in sweatpants, eating breakfast at like noon, just thinking like, oh, if the bank closes at 5, I don't think I'm going to make it today. I'm busy.
I'm busy.
And this is pre-quarantine. This is this is the kind of life that I lived before all that. It's weird. So like, then you start hearing that stuff, and you get in your own head. You're like, maybe it's me. Maybe I am just garbage. So I was like, you know what? I moved out to LA. I got to be better. I don't know if you guys know this, but like, I'm basically a 3 out here, and I am way too short to be fat and also be on television. So I have to do something else. I was like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to join a gym. That was my goal. And I did. I signed up for Planet Fitness. And your silence is the appropriate response. Because their slogan is, we're not a gym. And they nailed it. Okay? The first thing that you see when you walk into Planet Fitness is a giant bowl filled with Tootsie Rolls. They give you candy at this gym. Okay? First of all, I don't even understand where they got that many Tootsie Rolls. They stopped making those in 1958, okay? I understand why it's still filled to the top. They're disgusting. Nobody likes Tootsie Rolls. They're like, hey, you like taffy? Here's something that tastes like an old baseball glove. They're gross. Tootsie Rolls taste like chocolate plastic, okay? Tootsie Rolls taste like what candles look like. You need to just grow up and eat some real candy. That's my point. But then they have the nerve to put in the bowl. They don't even put it next to the bowl or in front of the bowl. Stuck in the bowl like a lawn sign. They have a sign in there that says, "Go ahead, you earned it." I work out there every day. I'm here to tell you, no, you didn't. Okay? Nobody gets in better shape at the Planet Fitness. They do just enough to keep you baseline alive.
Yeah.
They need to call that place Planet Hospice. They came out with a new slogan in 2019. They're like, "We're a judgment-free zone." Not for me. Judging every person that walks through that door, including myself. But then I realized, like, that's what I get when I'm only willing to spend $8.99 a month on being a better person. My thing is this. I can't do real gyms. Like, I know some of you, Tommy, I know you work out. Like, I can't do real gyms, like CrossFit gyms and intense stuff like that. And it's mostly because of the people, no offense, that go to those gyms, because they're the kind of people, they come out and they're like, "Yeah, bro, no days off." I'm like, what are you talking about? All days off. What are you doing hitting a tire with a sledgehammer? Go home. When are you ever going to need that skill set? Like, is that how you change a tire? I have no idea, but it doesn't seem right. They're the kind of people, they come out, they're like, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." I'm like, I'll sleep till 1 at least. I don't know if you guys are like me. I'm 33 years old. I feel like one day when I was 16, I woke up tired and it never went away. The other thing is I thought that I could do the workouts. I thought my problem was the people. This quarantine has taught me that I can't do the workouts. Because when this quarantine started, my roommate, who's in pretty good shape, is like, "We should work out together. We should do Insanity together." Do you guys remember Insanity, the workout program by Shaun T? It is completely ridiculous. But I did it in college, and I was like, "I bet you I could do that." And she was like, "Okay, cool." I was like, "Yeah, I got it." And then 11 minutes into the first day, I threw up. Clearly, I don't got it. Clearly, I didn't realize that for the first 2 weeks of quarantine, all I did was lay in bed and eat pints of ice cream. So,
That's too good.
ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have ever worked out to the point of throwing up, but like, I wouldn't recommend it. It's the worst. It's the worst experience ever. There are plenty of good reasons to throw up. Like, I'm sure we're going to see some good reasons that you might throw up later when they make some of these drinks. Like, staying out, having a great night drinking, it's kind of worth it. But, like, working out to the point of throwing up is the most ridiculous thing you could ever do. And this is not the first time this has happened to me. When I still lived in Brooklyn, I went to a place to work out. It's called Badass Academy. Some of you have probably heard of it. And it's, first of all, it's got the wrong name. It should be called Douchebag Factory, but that's a whole nother. Okay.
Paris finest.
It's all class-based workouts, and it's intense stuff. And I remember one time I was there, and I was like, I don't know, pushing a sled that was filled of like broken pieces of limestone. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, it was caveman stuff, but I was doing it. And when I was finished, the trainer was like, "Hey man, you doing okay? You don't look good." And I was like, "I think I might throw up." And his response was, "Cool, man. Let me show you where I throw up." This guy's a trainer. What kind of sociopath? Like, you're supposed to ask me if I want water, if I'm feeling okay, check my heart rate, not show me where you throw up, you maniac. No. That's when I knew. That's when I knew it just wasn't for me. But yet now the quarantine has pulled me right back into it. So I don't know how to handle it. I will say this to you guys, okay? Zoom is fantastic because it lets us do this even though we're thousands of miles away. That's why Zoom is great, and FaceTime and Facebook Live, because now all my family lives back on the East Coast. The only way that I can keep in touch with them is through FaceTime and talking to them like this. And it's important because I'm close with my family, especially my grandma. Now, my grandma has an iPhone, which is a real mistake. I don't know if you guys know anybody in their 80s that has an iPhone, but it does not mix, okay? My grandma is the worst. Like, when I FaceTime with her, it's like watching the Blair Witch Project. It's all over the place. I have no idea how to even handle that. I'm like, "Grandma, stop the ride. I want to get off." What is this, found footage from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I have no idea what this is, but I can't look at this. I'm getting motion sickness. But it's weird, though, because when I talk to her, especially now, my grandma's kind of a nervous person, and especially with all this stuff going on, she's a little bit more nervous. And I feel bad, and I can't really comfort her the way that I normally would. But the doctor gave her something. My grandmother is the kind of person, though, doesn't take stuff. And when I was talking to her the other day, I was like, "Grandma, why don't you just take the stuff and calm down a little bit? And she's like, no, John, I can't do that. You've seen the news. You start taking medicine and you find out 25 years later that it causes cancer. Like, Grandma, you're 86 years old. Why don't you just worry about having a good friggin' Thursday? Anyway, guys, thank you for letting me come up here and talk some smack. That has been my comedy time. Thank you guys for laughing. I appreciate you. Thank you, Tommy.
John, that was fantastic, and there's only one way to go out. Clearly, a highlight.
You can't see that except in the middle, but I stood up for it. I stood up.
I really, really enjoyed that, John. Thank you so much. That was absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure that everyone else is pretty thirsty after hearing that. So, yeah, the Olympics thing. By the way, Jeremy was on here earlier. I think earlier in the week talking about secrets and how he secretly hated Santa and how he secretly wanted his cat to die. And I didn't think that would be trumped on this series until you went and attacked the Olympics. But
I just don't like them, man. I love sports. I don't care about downhill skiing. Like,
I like this guy, Tommy. I like this guy. This guy's good. We got to hang out with this guy, Tommy.
he's in the inner circle. Here's Sean. There he is.
Just be honest. You know, we got no time for lies on this thing.
Oh, I love it. I knew you'd appreciate that one, Jeremy. But all right, we're going to circle it back into booze right now. And we're going to bring it on out to New York City from LA and talk to these handsome gentlemen. Hello, JP and Juan. How y'all doing?
How are you, my man?
Chilling.
I am dominating life. So one thing to know about Juan is similar to John, has a huge personality and loves being on camera. So I was very excited to bring him up on the digital speakeasy for this. And luckily we were able to go ahead and get Juan some booze. So Juan, I see you have a very pretty setup in front of us. And you're going to start out with the Wyoming single barrel, which I believe, right?
Can you talk a little bit about the single barrel real quick about what I'm going to do? But talk about what it is exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wyoming single barrel is pretty much right in the name. So our Wyoming small batch is a batch of 40 different barrels, right? We're using the big old boys. So we're using the puncheons and the butts. And we put those 53 gallons into those 40 of those 53-gallon barrels in and put them on together. So with that, it's a single barrel, and what are you looking at? My blonde hair?
John is writing notes. It's like all the notes, whatever they say, like taking all the notes.
I didn't see it. Okay. I didn't see it on the screen. That's fantastic. So so it's the single barrel. Everything is the same, but everything is different. So the single barrel is on its own. It's a little higher in proof. So you're running at 48% alcohol instead of 44. And what makes Wyoming unique is its mash bills. So 68 corn, 20 wheat, 12 barley, and you get the full essence of a wheated bourbon inside of Wyoming whiskey. It's absolutely fantastic. And the single barrel, I feel, is the creme de la creme. And it's one of the better ones in there, as long as the Outrider. So I gave you my two favorites to see what you could go ahead and rock with. So
yeah, so I'm actually going to do the same cocktail with both. But first, I'm going to start off with the single barrel, and I'm going to keep it like really super simple. What I wanted to do was do a cocktail that's like very easy to make during the heat times. Obviously, we can't be out and having a cocktail, but we can actually kind of make like something very simple. So to me, something I really truly enjoy, even when I go out or at home, is an old fashioned. And an old fashioned is very, very easy to make. I'm going to give you kind of like a COVID, example of how to make this, but it's extremely easy to make. So what we're going to start off with, I like to use for the sugar. So the great thing about like these cocktails, especially like old school cocktails, they're very simple ingredients. Like it takes like 3-4 ingredients the most. That's why like Negronis and old fashions and Manhattans, like all these cocktails that have stand the test of time because they're very easy to make. Very, it doesn't take a lot of components and not super duper complex as far as like putting flavors together. But in your palate, it kind of works all together. And the old fashioned's been around like forever. And it's just 3 basic ingredients. It's just your whiskey, your sugar, and your bitters, and like a citrus twist. Very simple to make. So what I'm going to do is show you guys how to make this at home. So for your sugar, I like to use like a brown sugar because it's more like you get more the caramel vanilla essence to it. And if you don't want to make a simple syrup, the way that I'm going to do it here, you can take like a bar spoon, just like a regular spoon, like have a teaspoon, and you're going to drop it into your mixing glass, right? So maybe like a spoon and a half. But can you do me a favor?
Yeah, God damn it. Yeah,
all
sure.
right. And then we're going to take about 3 dashes of Angostura bitters. Now, it doesn't have to be Angostura, but Angostura is like the most common of the aromatic bitters. You can find this in any supermarket, any corner deli. We do 3 dashes of that. So 1, 2, 3.
Now, Juan, why is it? Why is Angostura the most common?
To be honest, I don't know why it's the most common, but it's definitely the most. It's very popular. The funny thing is that it. I mean, it probably like comes down to like marketing, right? But every place has it. Like it says it's a product of Trinidad and Tobago, but I know it originated somewhere else. But it's one of those go-tos. Like when you, all right, for example, like when you eat gelatin, you go to Jello. When you wipe your windows, you use Windex. It's like the same thing. Like when you use
name brands,
you use Angostura. It's kind of within the same realm. It's just like the go-to of aromatic bitters.
It was on Plymouth Rock first.
I'm sorry?
It was on Plymouth Rock first.
It was correct. It was like the one that we all use. There are other bitters of the flavor that people use, like Feed Brothers and all these other people have other type of bitters, but when it comes to aromatic bitters, for the most part, we definitely use Angostura bitters. So we do about like a bar spoon and a half of brown sugar, 3 dashes of Ango, and then we'll take like a muddler and just muddle it out a little bit, just to crush up all those sugars.
Look at those forearms.
No, right? Oh, by the way, all these amazing tattoos that I'm getting done on my arm is done by the very amazing JP.
Hello.
So all the
Barback.
all the work
Slash Barback, who doesn't do whatever he has.
Yeah.
So it's good to go.
But all the work behind me is all his stuff too. This is my brother. But this man is the man that provided all this beautiful artwork for me. So after you do that, what I like to do is just add 2 ounces of the whiskey. No, I'm good.
All right, good. I like the chair.
So we've got 2 ounces of the whiskey. There we go.
But people is asking you to take your shirt off, man.
Not yet, man. Come on, man. My mom's watching.
Yeah, she really is.
No, she's not.
No, she's not. She is, man. I sent her the link.
So now we're going to stir the cocktail. Try to pull up as much ice as you possibly can. Get it nice and cold. Just kind of stir it around so you can like dilute all the sugar. Get it nice and cold. Stir it up. It's very basic. Sugar, bitters, whiskey. Very, very simple.
Good old classic.
Yeah, very classic, man. Like I said, man, like most cocktails that have been around forever and they're still used today, they're usually like 2, 3 ingredients, 4 ingredients the most. Very few cocktails are like multi ingredients, like a Ramos Gin Fizz. Those are very few. But for the most part,
Ramos Gin Fizz is hands down one of my favorite cocktails. I know that every bartender wants to punch me in the face when I order it.
Correct.
But it is my favorite drink of all time.
If you want to be a jerk, go to your friend's bar and order like 10 of them for like the bar. Oh my God, it'll cost you a lot of money, but it's like hilarious when you see the bartender's reaction.
If you really want to be a jerk, you could have your bar opening during a blizzard too. That's
funny.
John Saporano also just threw his Venmo out there if you want to take care of John a little bit. Also, if you want to follow him on Instagram. And JP, I guess, is taking over Juan's virtual tip jar. And you're going to go ahead and, if you want some of that awesome gear, if you want to get a discount.
Barback gets paid first, okay, guys? Barback always get paid first. So please don't get it. Barbacks always get paid first.
So now we're going to strain it into the glass with ice. Very simple. And then I like to do an orange twist. People like to do an orange and a lemon, but either or both. But I just like to use the orange and just cut off the little peel. You can use a peeler. I use a knife. And then
That was good form. Did you learn that in
What?
Employees Only, or did you learn that in Queens?
That's funny. But yeah, no, but here's the old-fashioned, man. Very easy to make, very easy to drink. Just a very cool cocktail to make. Had some friends over. But yeah, man.
Perfect, Juan. Thank you so much, man. It's a beautiful concoction. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Beautiful. And I really, really love that you just made an old fashioned, because it puts you into it's that classic cocktail that's normally drank during Prohibition. And another thing that's popular on that is a little bit of jazz music, right? A little bit of tunes. So we're going to walk on down the block from Juan's bar. We're going to walk to the jazz bar, where we have the lovely Melissa Fiore.
I wanted the next one.
So Melissa, tell us, what do you got for us today? What are we listening to?
So the first song I'm going to do is a song by Ella Fitzgerald called Night and Day. So anybody who's a jazz aficionado, they should know the song very well. Just a quick little tidbit. You can check me out at BK Italian Barbie. That's my Instagram. And my TikTok is Sexy Singer 44. So just throwing that out.
TikToks in the game.
Oh my God, the pressure. The pressure.
I'm so psyched to go to both those places now. That was an easy sell. Easy sell.
You're so sweet. You guys are so sweet. I'm sure I'll get a chance to tell you a little bit more later. But in the meantime, I will hit it. Enjoy. Night and day, you are the one. Only you beneath the moon and under the sun. Whether near to me or far, it's no matter, darling, where you are, I'll think of you. Night and day, night and day, under the height of me, there's an oh such a hungry yearning burning inside of me, and this torment won't be through till you let me spend my life making love to you, day and night, night and day, night and day. Why is it so? There's an oh such a hungry yearning burning inside of me, and this torment won't be through till you let me spend my life making love to you, day and night, night and day.
That was absolutely excellent, Melissa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see someone without a beard again, so thank you.
My pleasure.
Along with that absolutely amazing voice, Melissa has some really cool stuff going on as well. And would you like to talk to these guys a little bit about your Friends to the Frontline campaign?
Sure, absolutely. So Friends to Frontline is a charitable act that my husband and I started back in March. Unfortunately, one of my friends was on a ventilator for 10 days. He had COVID-19, and so many of the nurses were amazing. And so it inspired us to start this charitable act, and we've been sending pizzas to frontline workers. So we've sent people, EMS workers, firefighters, NYPD, and of course, nurses and doctors, pizzas. So we've served over 300 frontline workers to over 33 locations. So it has been fantastic. We've raised over $4,000, and our original goal was $1,000. So my tip jar would be my Venmo at Friends to Frontline, anybody looking to donate. And 100% of the proceeds go to those frontline workers who are just, they're looking for a smile. You know, they don't want to have to worry about what they have to eat that day. You know, there's a lot more stressful things for them. So hoping that can help a lot of people. And yeah.
It's awesome, man. I love it. And it's so cool to see it. And Melissa's constantly posting about the people, whether it be one of the precincts from NYPD, whether it be the nurses. It's such a cool campaign. And it's so perfectly bent to nurse, like, hey, I'll buy you a pie. Let me buy you some pizza. So it's
I got to tell you, Tommy, that was really the point too. It was like a double edged sword, because it was help the frontliners, but also those pizzerias that are kind of struggling.
they need it.
You know,
Yeah.
They're struggling a lot. Of these places are mom and pop shops. These are not Pizza Huts. Like, these are real mom and pop shops that have been around forever. And so we were really excited because, you know, we're giving them business, and then we're promoting them to let people know, like, hey, they're open and they're delivering and whatnot. So it's been really great. And thank you for letting me plug that and plug myself. And and by the way, P.S. Do I have another second to talk?
Do your thing, love. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw out two more things. So I am the director of talent and events for Star Rock Productions. That's actually an amazing company two friends of mine and I have together, and we provide entertainment for events, special events, birthdays, weddings, etc. So not only am I a performer, but I am also in charge of booking the talent and such. So I know that right now we're obviously in this terrible time, but when events start, you know, kind of getting started again, please, you know, check us out at Star Rock Productions. If you're looking for entertainment, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of drinking and a lot of dancing going on. And for those of you who are missing getting your lash extensions done and getting your makeup done, I know you guys are really upset about it. I could see you, John. I didn't want to say anything about your lash extensions, but you need a refill. I'm really sorry. So anybody looking for beauty services, I run a beauty concierge service called Kissed by Melissa. That's at Kissed by Melissa on Instagram, kissedbymelissa.com. So I'm a woman that wears many hats, but they are a lot of fun and fancy hats. And all the things I do, I just want to help people and make them smile. So any way you can help or want to join in on the fun, contact me. Let me know.
And everything that she does is absolutely fantastic as well. She's super talented at it. What was awesome too, we had the day after our wedding, we got married in New Orleans, and they had an open mic night at this place, 30 by 90, the same place that we had our wedding at. And
you know that place.
that old joint. But they were doing an open mic, and they were doing karaoke, and it's like, you know, New Orleans, and everyone's going out there. And I've been in a tattoo shop for the last like 12 hours. So professional Thomas was out the window, and neighborhood Tommy was like at the forefront of this. And I was telling people, no, my girl knows how to sing. So does my buddy. Come on, put him on the stage. So finally they answered, and Melissa and Greg and Ashley tore the house down. So we had a threefer that night. So lots of fun always. But thank you so much, Melissa. We're going to bring you on back. We definitely want another song out of you. But we're going to circle on back on over. Thank you, Melissa. Circle back over to the handsome Juan Arboleda and see what you got swinging up. So I'm going to unmute you. I'm sorry that I got you unmuted up. Or if JP, you could unmute him.
You mute?
There you are. Now you're off. Beautiful.
Can you hear us?
Yep, now I hear you. Beautiful. So I love that you're going to make the same cocktail, because with this one, we're going to go into a different mash bill. So you want to explain the difference that a mash bill could do to a cocktail, and I'll explain the outrider a little bit.
Well, what I want you to explain is exactly the difference in the proof and why the outrider is very different from the single barrel.
Excellent. So a lot of people on this know this story, but some may not. And John, I know that you're going to absolutely love this story. So whiskey's all about great stories, and this is probably the best story in whiskey. So Wyoming Whiskey Outrider was our attempt at making a rye. So we had a guy named Steve Nally from Maker's Mark come on in, and he made wheat-forward whiskey, right? So when asked to make a rye, he said, absolutely not. He goes, I don't do rye. I do wheat whiskey. That's how we're going to do it. So The team at Wyoming are like, well, we're paying you and we're telling you to make a rye. You're going to make a rye. So push comes to shove, ownership wins, and here comes the rye. He makes a high rye whiskey, and he also makes a bourbon, taking out the wheat and putting in the rye. Kicks and screams, doesn't like it, says the still is disgusting now. The rye is never going to come out of it. The smell inside of here is awful. It's not going to happen. So doesn't like it, fulfills his obligations with Wyoming, goes back, retires in Kentucky, and our new master distiller takes over. So 3 years later, hey, why don't you taste that rye? Taste the rye whiskey. It's like, great. One of the best young ryes I've ever had in my life. That's absolutely fantastic. Go check the mash bill, and it's 48% rye. So as the whiskey people on this chat know, that's not a rye whiskey. That puts us in one of the least sexiest categories of whiskey, just straight up American whiskey. You're not a bourbon, you're not a rye, you're flat. So had to figure out what was happening, and whatever. Let's figure this out. The outriders, when you're herding cattle, Wyoming whiskey is owned by cattle ranch farmers. So the outriders, the guys that ride on the outside of the cows that herd them in and keep them narrow, make sure that you don't lose any cows. So that's what we did. We took the high rye whiskey and that bourbon and blended it together for this high rye. So with that, it's a higher mash, it's a higher proof. It's 100 proof, so it's got some oomph to it. And we also have the title of bottled in bond, which for the guys that don't know whiskey, that's a very difficult thing to get. So it's a very difficult thing to get put on the bottle. So we're bottled in bond and we're high proof. So when we go back to your original distiller, it's like, we settled this, it's crisis management. It's actually a great product, so it's good. But hey man, Steve, how'd you mess that up? He goes, you got the mash bill wrong. He goes, actually, no, I didn't. I told you I wasn't making you a rye. So the old man got his way after all. And John, I knew you'd appreciate that one. It's a little obnoxious. But
I definitely do. I tour a lot of I go to a lot of distilleries and I go to a lot of breweries. Sometimes I do shows there. But sometimes when I'm just in a town and I know they have a distillery or a local brewery, I'll go and just kind of do the tour of the place. I went to one in upstate New York one time. It was a lot of fun. It was the worst tour guide in the entire world. I remember they said, hey, his name is Michael. Don't worry, you won't miss him. And then 15 minutes later, I look over and Michael had started the tour in the other corner of the room. Totally missed him. Michael was like, okay, everybody, let me tell you about the whiskey. And I was like, this dude's whispering. He's the worst tour guide ever. That's not the point. The point is that I learned a lot from what you were just saying, because I don't claim to be an aficionado with any of this stuff, but I do find it super interesting. But I did not learn as much as some of the dudes on this particular tour in upstate New York did. They were not making any bones about it. You could tell that these guys were literally taking the tour so that they could figure out how to make their own liquor at home. They were wearing like coveralls to the tour, and they were asking super specific questions, like how long did you say you reheat the mash for? And I was like, dude, don't tell this guy the secrets. Yeah, they were jotting notes down. They all looked like they were extras in Breaking Bad with the outfits they had on. It was super weird.
And do you have a number for the place that you get the corn from?
So wait a minute. So you actually give these barrels to a brewery and then take the barrels back? Huh? Pretty interesting. Which brewery was that? I tell him. But Michael was slow. He was slow on the uptick. He didn't know, man. He was just giving them all the trades. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's an identical brewery 40 minutes down the road from this other one now.
I'm very curious to know what distillery it was. Do you remember what distillery it was?
I do. I didn't know if I was allowed to say it though.
Fine, let it rip, man. We don't know any distilleries in upstate New York.
It was Tuthill Town. They do
okay, yeah. Excellent. They make great whiskey.
Really good restaurant. They have a really good restaurant on that distillery too. If you find your way up there, the restaurant's
fantastic, actually. And my first guest actually is working on something with them too. Christian Orlando from the Stand. So that's funny you say that. Full circle here, and the Stand Comedy Club. Look at that. So that's really funny. Full circle. Juan, thanks for missing the first show. It really worked out for us. So.
Oh, you don't do that. My bad. That's my bad. Yo, so I'm gonna do the same cocktail, but I'm gonna use the rye. Now the rye obviously it's not as sweet as a bourbon. Now with bourbon, obviously there's a lot of rules that come into play. Like you need to be at least 51% corn. So, obviously corn is very sweet. So you don't need as much sugar. But with the rye, you have all like these crazy little spices in the rye. So with this one, I really want that rye to come out. I'm gonna use like a little bit less sugar, the exact same cocktail, right? Again, very easy to make. So you take your bar spoon, go right in there with the brown sugar. You're gonna take your Angostura bitters, again, the go-to, 3 dashes, 1, 2, 3. Gonna muddle it up. Crush all that down. We've done all that stuff. We've done all the sugar. And we're gonna add the 2 ounces of rye. Oh, say hi.
What's up,
GP has a
puppies?
special guest.
No. He's thirsty.
We're gonna do 2 ounces.
I almost got my legs cut out from under me when I walked out to to see them earlier today. The dogs like literally almost took me out. It was fantastic. And John, when I said I was running behind, yes, it was because I was playing with dogs. Don't judge me.
That's fine. I love like a super tiny dog that just loves throwing its weight around. I stayed at an Airbnb one time with this like stocky bulldog, and he was just like throw his body into your legs the whole time. You're like, this is adorable, but also it's like getting hit with a cannonball every time he does it.
So again, we're gonna stir it down, get it nice and cold. Once it's nice and cold, you're gonna grab your ice, fill your glass. That's all the ice. And we're gonna strain right into the glass again. Get a nice like velvety texture, nice and silky. Okay. And then we get your orange. Now, if you want to get really, really, really fancy, can I have a light?
Ooh, I love fancy.
I'll show you.
Get fancy, please.
I'll get really fancy.
Fancy. I love fancy.
The lighter. No, I got one right here. So what I like to do is I'll take my orange and I'll make like a circle with it for a better grip, right? And then what I'll do, I'll grab the sides. And then what I'll do, I'll light up for like a second. Now this is an old school bartender trick. There's nothing new to the industry. But for people who are not into the industry, this might be a little pretty new to them. So I'm gonna grab my little torch, and what I'll do is I'll light it up a little bit, and I'm gonna express the oils right over it. You get a nice flame on top of it. So you do that, and then boom.
Woo!
And that brings out all the oils and all the orange flavors into the cocktail. Drop that right in. And then now when you get your nose, you get all the orange, and you get all the sugars and the bitters and the taste. Boom.
Well done, sir. Well done, sir. Now, you muddled the sugar along with it, and a lot of people have a lot of different ways of making the old fashions.
Yeah.
When we're talking technique-wise, what is more beneficial for the bar, but what is also the proper technique and form? What would you say?
Well, what I think the best way to do, if you want to do any sugar into a cocktail, what I highly recommend is always, like, yeah, what I'm doing right now is like the old school way of making the cocktail, because we're doing like very basic COVID ways of making a cocktail.
But not the maraschino cherries, thank you.
No, that's Wisconsin. No, that's a Wisconsin old fashioned. But what I would do is I would take the sugar. So I would weigh out sugar to water and put it together, and you go to you either do really, really hot water, which is like the easy way, and put it to a pot and just stir it till it dilutes, and then you have a simple syrup of the sugar, which is a lot easier to work with. Now you don't have to muddle. So what I would probably do is make a simple syrup and do like a 1/4 ounce of the simple syrup into the cocktail, as opposed to putting a bar spoon and muddling down. It makes it a lot easier.
Awesome.
Tommy, I got a question about old fashions.
Yes, sir.
It seems like there are like an infinite amount of ways to make an old fashioned.
Yeah.
What's the key things that make it an old fashioned?
Well, there's different, yeah, right. So there's different types of old fashioned. You have like the Wisconsin old fashioned. You have the old fashioned where they add like they muddle oranges and cherries, and it's like a real old school type of old fashioned. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think like nowadays, the way that the whole like cocktail revolution happened, especially in the past like 10, 15 years, with the whole booming with places like Employees Only and Def & Co. and Angel Share and all these like really cool places, it's kind of just be more efficient. produce a really great product, but also like try to like knock it out as quick as possible. So for me, I always believed once I got into the cocktail game is try to make it easier to and be very efficient. If you're a rye lover or a bourbon lover, you add your 2 ounces, and then you add a 1/4 ounce of a Demerara sugar, and you add your bitters, and that's pretty much it. But everybody has their own play on it. Like this, what I'm showing you guys, like the very, very basics. But when you go to any bar in New York City, any cocktail bar in the world, they definitely have their kind of their own take on how to make an old fashioned. Everybody has their own variations on it. Like I said, like classics, like Manhattans. They're classics, but everybody has their own take on it.
We've seen a lot of folks making old fashions. I think it's because they're things that you could make at home.
Correct.
And I just have to say, when I was a bartender in New York for a long time, I worked at a place called Marion's. And at Marion's, we learned how to make it with the cherries and the orange. I haven't seen one of you make it with the cherries and orange.
So that's the thing. Like, so the old school. Wait, where was Marion's? Where was that at?
That was Bowery, right south of B-Bar.
Yo, and they used to have Queen's Cross downstairs, right?
Yeah, the slide. Yeah, that was a
I
joint.
used to be the door guy there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and my buddy Brian was one of the bar managers there.
Geez, what years? What, the downstairs or the upstairs?
Yeah, it was like 15 years ago. Well, the Marion's, the downstairs was kind of crazy, but the Marion, the antique was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that was a whole different world. I remember that. But they more like old school, like dive bar, old fashioned.
Yeah, we did. It was like classic cocktails before the resurgence. You know, it's.
I think what happened was, I think about like 15 years ago, with especially with Milk and Honey with Sacha Pachowski, he really got really meticulous and very detailed on how to make a cocktail.
For sure.
Obviously Bill DeGroff before that in the Rainbow Room, they were doing really cool things. But once it got like really like intricate, that kind of changed the whole game. So now, like when you go to like a proper cocktail bar, they'll probably use a Demerara Simple. They try to like break it down easy. Look, there's nothing wrong with having a Wisconsin and muddling the cherries and the art. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I think for home, I think it's pretty cool to make it simple, bitters, whiskey.
I love that you knew. There was Marion's, the spot next to Marion's, which I think was the Marquee, which might be the club you're talking about, and then the downstairs was the Slide. And the Slide, you said downstairs it got a little crazy. I was like, that's a polite way of putting what happened at the Slide, because I was there the night the cops broke in.
But that was the first time I really experienced like the city. Man, that place was.
This is a PG program. We can't talk about it.
We'll keep that for another day. We'll keep that for another day, boy.
But my buddy, when I was doing the door there, they were doing the cocktail, like the revolution that hasn't happened. People were still doing like the old kind of cocktails. Nothing wrong with that at all. But I think once things got a little bit cleaner, again, like I think with Sacha Pachowski, they kind of like really tightened everything up and just created this whole different world. And that's when EO and all these other really cool cocktail bars like really began to shine because they took more care to the craft. But those days were pretty days.
And God bless, because they're so much better than they were. But I remember going to a joint in Chicago once, and just because I'm kind of a dick, and I went to this real hot shit place in Chicago, and I asked, I'm not going to remember the name of it, but I said, can I get a Cosmo? The guy was like, you son of a bitch. And I was like, hey man, Dale DeGroff invented the Cosmo. Chill out. Chill out.
So what's really funny? What happened for like a long time, like, especially after the cocktail revolution, people got really, a lot of bartenders got pretentious and people got really, really into their craft. But one thing that happened, like maybe like 5 years ago, bartenders will go to bars and what they'll do is they'll test bartender skill. And what they'll ask for is for a daiquiri. Now, what most people think of, like for the most part, like the mass people think of like margaritas, daiquiris, like frozen cocktails. But a daiquiri is a very simple cocktail. Just like, again, it's been around like forever. It's a very simple cocktail: rum, sugar, and lime. 3 ingredients. But to be able to balance those ingredients, that's what it shows like your skill of being able to do what you do. And for like a minute, people will go to bars. I remember Tojo and people all in the area would go and they'll ask for a daiquiri, and that's how you could tell if somebody knew how to balance a cocktail. Yeah, that was like a big part of the industry. But yeah, but now, now things are crazy. Like now you have like 21-year-old kids creating the most craziest cocktails you had in your life. But
it seems like it's chilled out a little bit though. Like that sort of swing from like, I'm not making that has sort of been like, yeah, I'm a bartender. I could make that.
Thank God the pretentious bartenders have gone away.
When I got into bartending, I definitely was right in the middle of seeing bartenders like, people got pretentious because it's like the cool craft, it's a cool job, it's a cool life, like the nightlife, and you have all the fun things and all the cool things. You hang out with celebrities and all these cool things. But I think eventually what happened, like people have to realize that in the end of the day, it's a business, and you have to make money, and you have to produce, and your talent will take you somewhere if you actually execute and do a really good job.
What I missed was that
away, but yeah,
the bartender who knew how to listen. When I was bartending, the best night was the night the guy came in and he was like, "My wife left me."
right.
And I'm like, "Oh man, this one's on me."
One of the owners from Employees Only, Henry Lafargue, who was a legend in the industry. Yes. He when I first got into the industry, like bartending, like 8-10 years ago, he just retired, but he worked at a lot of great places in his life, and he had regulars following him for like 40 years, and he worked in a lot of places, and these people have been following him for 40 years. And yeah, we make great cocktails, but also with bartenders, it's about the personality, the connections you make with people. It's just more than the drink. The drink to me, it's always been a very small percentage. To me, it's always been about the work ethic, the personality, how you handle people, the work, like the professionalism, a lot of things that come with it. But Henry was like a prime example for me of, just killing it and having people follow you for 40 years. He might have been regulars for 40 years, and no matter where they went, they just follow him because, he just knows what to do. To this day, it's still, one of the greatest ever.
That's why I love Juan too, because Juan is extremely knowledgeable about cocktails and takes what he does very serious, but is still a bartender, and he's still not overly pretentious about it. And it's funny, Juan and I met probably 10, 12 years ago now, but we met again at Tales of the Cocktail, and we couldn't remember where we remembered each other. And we were at this like super, super bougie cocktail event. I don't even know where it was.
Central Park South, right?
No, when we were in New Orleans, I mean,
Whiskey
Park is but it's like pinkies up, and like we have this cocktail with like 30 different ingredients that's been infused for 13 days. We're like, yeah, very balanced. Yeah, it's delicious. This sucks, right? We just we started making fun of everybody. We went right to Aaron Rose. But that's why I love you, Juan.
I wish I was at Tales with you guys.
That was a hell of a week.
We used to bail and be like, "Where can we go get a High Life, man? Let's get off this train. Let's go get some High Life."
But I'm really happy to say that I see that a lot of that, the initial boom was great because it created a lot of opportunities for a lot of brands, a lot of people, a lot of restaurants, a lot of businesses, small businesses. It really created a lot of boom. And then people got a little cocky. It happens. But now, I think people understand that, look, man, at the end of the day, it's a business. We got to make money. Everybody has to do what they got to do. So it doesn't pay the bills to be a jerk.
Yeah. You're in the business of smiles, baby. You got to smile.
John, what do you? Look, I don't like a pretentious bartender either. I agree with you guys 100%. But I did see one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life from a drink being refused to be made. I was at a bar in San Francisco on a Saturday night. It was packed. This is 10 years ago. The place was absolutely packed. You got to fight your way through to the bar. And the bartender was, not the kind of guy you'd want to mess with. Big burly guy like one of you guys. Big beard, just tatted up. You wouldn't want to to him. And this guy kind of fights his way through the crowd, and he gets up there and he's like, "Yeah, man, what do you want?" He's like, "Can I have a Bloody Mary?" And he just looked at him and he's like, "Bloody Mary? Look how crowded this place is. What is this, brunch? Order something else." The guy was like, I don't know, I'll have a Bud Light. And the bartender just opened a Bud Light bottle, gave it to him, and was like, just get out of here, man. And then I was next up, and he just looks at me, and he's like, hilarious.
That was
Absolutely
great.
fantastic.
One my favorite with something like that as well. It was New Year's Eve at Whiskey Park, and it was like 2:00 in the morning. Probably the staff got a little out of control, myself included. And I'm behind the bar, and I'm getting a drink for somebody, and I was managing, so I normally wasn't behind the bar. And one of my favorite bartenders and friends, Ashley McLeavy, it's 4 deep. And everyone's banged up. And the guy comes in, and we had a drink called the Guava Sin. He went, can I have 3 Guava Sins in a Manhattan? And Ashley looks up and goes, it's 2:00 on New Year's Eve. Have a beer, bro. And like, classy, like, very pretty girl. Like, you just, and I never heard that. And I looked at her, she's like, sorry. I'm like, no, you're absolutely right. It's like, it's well, but it was great.
Yeah, at that point, like, I mean, look, I appreciate a good cocktail, but like at that point, at 2:00 in the morning on New Year's Eve, are you really? You did New Year's Eve wrong if you're tasting the difference.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Come on, man. Like, you know, you can be like, yeah, this is. I just made this. It's like shoe polish. I'm like, whatever. I'm fine.
Right.
But John, any last words? You learn anything about cocktails today? Any last thing that you'd like to plug? Something that you have coming on?
Yeah, man. I did learn a lot about cocktails. The thing that I learned the most about cocktails is that no matter how simple they are, I will not be able to make any of these because I am completely confident. When it comes, I love how like Juan makes it seem so simple. He's like, yeah, and you know, you just like just the act of muddling something. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that for myself. Like what? I can't make, like, I would make that for somebody else, and I think, like, watching you, I think I could do it, and it would be halfway decent, but, like, to do all of that work for myself when I could just open a beer, I'm like, I can't, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it.
I agree. Yeah,
I'm just not worth that for myself. No, but I did, it's actually super, super informative, and I love a good drink, and I wish that I could taste one of these right now. That's the biggest drawback to this is that we're so far away, and I can't taste the drinks. They look amazing. Thank you.
We'll definitely make that happen though coming up soon, man. I look forward to everything going back to normal, and you either coming out here or we'll bring a crew out there to visit you.
It would be fantastic either way. I do have a couple things. You mentioned my show, In Bed with John Saporano. It's a new current events news show that I film from my bed. Obviously, it's a funny take on that. It's kind of like in the vein of The Daily Show or Last Week Tonight. So if you're looking for some levity, especially with all this crazy stuff that's going on right now, new episodes drop every Tuesday. So there's one out right now. Last week, I interviewed Texas Rangers third baseman Todd Frazier. He also played for the Mets and the Yankees. So he was on the show. He was great. So we got a lot of cool stuff like that. And I also do a digital comedy show that's every Friday night. It's called OK Zoomer. It's on Zoom just like this. We also donate to charity. We pick a different charity every week. So some of the proceeds go there. It is totally free for anybody who's an essential worker. And it's also free for anybody who's displaced service industry or furloughed employees, anybody like that. It's 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30 East Coast time. So that's every Friday, OK Zoomer, and every Tuesday, my show comes out In Bed with John Saporano.
Excellent. Good stuff, man. Thank you so much. That was a great way to start the show. That was absolutely hysterical. And how did your breakfast at 1 p.m. joke feel after hearing Melissa's schedule?
Oh my God. I was like, so much better than me. Like, how is she doing all these things and also can sing like that? That's awful. I liked her when she first signed on, and then I was like, oh, she's like doing stuff? Like, that's ridiculous. I woke up at noon today annoyed that the gardener was outside my apartment weed whacking, and I was like, "What? You got some nerve doing this at 11:45 in the morning? People are sleeping."
Oh, I've been holding that. Oh, that's fantastic.
Amazing.
That is aces. Melissa, I'm sorry to crack you up right before, but
wow.
John, once again, man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Please check him out. As you can tell, the kid's a riot. He does some awesome stuff. Juan, thank you so much for your cocktails. They were absolutely amazing. Melissa, I look forward to you taking us home, love. What are we rocking with? What are we closing the bar with?
I think since most people are like going to be drunkenly slow dancing, I'm gonna say At Last.
Ooh, this is fun.
I feel like it's a good drunken, everybody knows the words kind of song. So I'm gonna hit it a cappella if you don't mind.
Yes.
Do it.
Cool. At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over. And life is like a song. Oh, yeah. At last, skies above are blue. My heart was wrapped up in clover. The night I looked at you, I found a dream that I can speak to, a dream that I can call my own. I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill that I have never known. Oh yes, you smile, you smile. Oh, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven. For you are mine, and thank you. Thank you. I don't know what you said, but thank you.
I said straight up goosebumps on that one. That was absolutely fantastic. That is great. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to call each and every one of you friends. What a great day this was. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. Melissa, anything last to plug? Anything that where we could check you out at?
I will post everything after, but definitely check out my TikToks. I think they are a lot of fun.
Co-sign.
I have some doozies coming up. And I just want to say shout out to you, Tommy, father to be. You're going to be
Thank
the
you.
best
Daddy
dad
Tommy.
ever.
Very
And
much.
shout out to Ashley. I have to give a shout out to Ashley. She's phenomenal. She looks hot during her pregnancy. She's going to be a MILF. You're going to be a DILF. It's going to be great. So
God, I
thank
love
you
you.
for having me. I love you. And it was great to see all you guys. You're rock stars, all of you. Thank you.
Same here. And I'm upset that I couldn't slow dance with Juan pantsless. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this. The only way to take this home, I think, is
for the Olympics.
Yeah. John,
I knew it.
John, thank you so much. That was I played the Olympics theme. I don't know if you heard it, but
Yeah, I did.
This was absolutely fantastic. Anything anyone else has to say?
Yo, shout out to Aquasanta, help the mothership out. JP, anything for the Aquasanta?
We're here. Yeah, we're going to post some stuff on the chat. Thank you guys for everything. We'll be back in a couple of weeks again, I guess.
Can't wait to get some ink. So I'll show mine off too. JP is a super talented cat, man.
That's sexy arm, man.
All my stuff is from him.
Sexy arm.
Yeah.
It is. I can't wait to get some more, baby. I got a lot to cover up, bro.
We'll get back to everybody. Nice
A lot of space. A lot of real estate.
Exactly.
Thanks for having me inside too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Love you guys so much. Thank you. Monday, 5 o'clock again. We'll have another show for you. But cheers, guys. Thank you. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day, too. Oh, and thank you for your service, Juan. We forgot to mention that. Special Memorial Day for you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.